title of my message today is Trappped, okay? It's Trappped. And one thing I know this about teenagers is you guys experience a lot of things for the first time, right? Whether it's you're constantly new topics, constantly new things that you notice, that you hear about, new things that you see, new things y'all try, new things you think about, new things you decide between, new things that you have to learn and understand, new. You guys are constantly getting bombarded with new. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It's a very normal thing because it's in this season of your life that you guys are encountering a lot of big decisions, a lot of big things, and just new stuff at every single corner. It's not a new thing for your generation. This has been happening in every generation. It's just what happens when we're in our teen years. But something else that's not new when it comes to all these new things that you guys encounter is new struggles, okay? Comes with the territory, okay? Because out of all those new things, there's going to come some bad decisions. Out of all those new things, there's going to come some bad calls, some wrong decisions, some wrong turns, and there's going to come some wrong thinking, okay? All right, we know this, that there was only one man on the face of the earth to ever walk the earth that batted 100 when it came to life, when it came to making the right decisions. That was Jesus, okay? He never messed up, never made a mistake. And so what that tells me is that every single person in this room, we have commonality, okay? Every single one of us, we've messed up. We've made dumb decisions, stupid decisions. Every single one of us have had more twisted thoughts than you could even imagine. Nobody in this room is alone in that, okay? That's something that we can all have commonality with, all right? Now, I haven't been a teen in quite a few years, all right? It's probably been, well, I'm almost 30, so 12 years? Something like that. 10 years, technically, if you count 18, 19. But I remember that when I was a teenager, it always seemed like there was something, right? No matter, I thought I was a pretty good kid. I thought I had my ducks in a row pretty good. But it always seemed like there was something where I was dropping the ball. Like there was one area where it was like I couldn't kick that habit, or I couldn't kick that idea. I couldn't kick that way of thinking. I couldn't kick that temptation, whatever it may be. There always seemed to be something. It might not have always been a big thing, but there was always something. But as we encounter these new things, what it does is it makes us have to find a way to navigate through them. And so that's kind of what I want to talk about today, is how we navigate through these struggles and these temptations that we encounter. I also want to talk about how we can kind of get their grip out of our lives, okay? Now, we talked the other week about the enemy. I talked to you guys all kinds about Satan, and we talked about John 10:10. Who remembers the three things that are always associated with the enemy? Anybody? All right, when it comes to the enemy, to steal, to kill, and to destroy. Anything that Satan has his hand in, it has steal, kill, or destroy attached to it. So when we're talking about sin and we're talking about temptation, we know that it is laced with one of those three things, all right? And one of the ways that he carries about those things is by trapping us. Guys, temptation is something that looks good, but it's dangled right in front of something that's a trap. It's dangled in front of something that's meant to encapsulate you, to trap you, and not let go. So we just need to be aware that if we're tempted by something that goes against the Bible, every time there's a trap on the other side of it. No matter how good it looks, how nice it sounds, how many people you know that are taking part, there is always a trap waiting for you on the other side of that temptation. I know this about Satan. One thing that he likes to use to trap us is to have us be quiet about the things that we're struggling with. I guarantee you, every single one of you, that you probably at one point or another, you've dealt with a temptation, a sin, a struggle, and you didn't tell a soul about it. And that's one of the things that the enemy constantly does. He tries to put you in the corner to where nobody else, you don't want to tell anybody about that. They're going to think funny about you. They're going to think weird about you. Man, keep that quiet. Keep it hush, hush. That's exactly what he wants to do. And you know what? That's not what I'm about in here. I'm all about getting things out in the open, because when you get things out in the open, you can get somebody who can get behind you and help you. All right? So we don't want to take the enemy's idea of cornering us and keeping us quiet. We want to talk about these things. I think when I talk about the struggles, like I said, there's always something. I don't think any single one of you guys in this room, you guys have a problem identifying the issue. All right? If I said that majority of us are struggling with something, I bet you don't need any of my help to identify that thing. You've been thinking about it ever since I brought up struggle. You've been thinking about it nonstop, okay? I don't think identifying it's the issue. I think you guys have got that part down. Whether it's drinking, whether it's smoking, lust, messing with your boyfriend or girlfriend, hanging with the wrong crowd, lying, gossip, sin, bad habits, etc. I'm pretty sure you guys are pretty good at recognizing the issues. recognizing the struggles. And that's a good thing because we need to identify these things. We need to recognize them in our lives. But escaping it can also seem like an impossible task. Anybody been there? Leaders, would any of y'all say, I've been there, man, it felt like an impossible task? Yeah, like, just struggle with something. It's like, I'm never getting out of this one. Trapped. That's how it feels. You feel trapped. And honestly, even the desire to escape it can be unknown to you. I don't even know what it feels like to want to get away from that thing because I actually find that I enjoy it to some degree. It's all part of the trap. We need to realize, guys, that we can get a lot of things right. We can have all our ducks in a row, but if there's one thing that's got its grip on us, one thing that we're trapped in, it can ruin a lot of the good things in our life. I'll give you an example. Let's say y'all got a bowl of strawberries, okay? 20 strawberries, beautifully red, perfectly ripe, no bruises. Y'all know the bruises, nobody likes to eat them. They're all just like perfect. And then you take one moldy strawberry and you put it in with the rest of them. Y'all know what happens? Yes, they all start to decay. Every single one of them, they start to decay, they get rotten, they get moldy, all because of that one moldy one that you put in there. Even though the other ones were doing great, man, they were perfect. They were exactly what you wanted. That one was able to get in and taint every single one of them. So we don't want anything bad to stick around in our lives. We don't want to be dealing with these struggles and let them hang out, all right? Now we can look at the Word of God and we can see how much He talks about temptations, okay? And you can read that as God saying, hey, don't do this, don't do that. But ultimately, I think what God is saying is He's saying, hey, it's a trap, okay? Yes, I'm saying don't do it. The reason I'm saying don't do it is because it's a trap, okay? Now, I want to give you guys just a couple examples of traps. Go ahead and put that first picture I sent up. All right, y'all know what this is, right? Yeah, it's a fish hook, okay? Now, something you'll notice about this is that this fish hook was created. I mean, I'm telling you, it was designed and created to hold on to its prey, all right? When that fish gets on there, the whole design behind this little barb right here is to keep that thing trapped, to keep that hook in that fish's mouth from ever getting away. All right, next picture. All right, you guys know this is probably, we'll call it a bear trap, right? We know that these parts right here, they hang down. When the bear steps on this, clap, goes around it, right? And the whole mechanism, the whole idea, the whole design behind this bear trap was to keep something from not getting away. That was his full intention. The trap is so that you never get away. But something else we need to recognize about both of these traps is that they were both designed with a way out. Now, when we look at this bear trap, who knows what the way out is on a trap like this? None of y'all? Okay, so barefoot's caught in there. What you do is you squeeze this handle and you squeeze these pieces together, and it releases. It lets the whole thing out, okay? Now let's go back to the picture of the fish hook. Any fishermen in here? How do you get a fish hook out? No, you got to push against. You got to push away from that barb so that that barb can fit through the hole again, all right? My point being, there is a way out. There is always a way out when it comes to these traps. Oh, my goodness, my notes. Where am I at? There we go. Okay. For the bear trap, it holds down both clamps. The fish hook, it's that little barb, okay? But there is always a way out. And I bring that up because the same is true with God. Okay, whenever there's a temptation, whenever there's a trap, God promises to always make sure that there's a way out for you, okay? And I'm going to prove it to you real quick. It's in 1 Corinthians 10:13. It says, the temptations in your life are no different from what others experience. Stop right there. Whatever temptation you're going through, it's no different than what other people are going through. So anytime that you hear the lie, oh, I'm the only one struggling with this. I'm the only one dealing with this. I'm the only one who thinks about these things. I'm the only ones who feel this way. It says it right there. They're no different from what others experience. Don't ever let the enemy tell you you're the only one, that you're the only odd one, the only weird one, because it's just not true. Let's keep reading. It says, and God is faithful. He will not allow temptation to be more than you can stand. When you're tempted, He will show you a way out so that you can endure. Guys, God says that He will, number one, you will not ever be tempted beyond your ability to resist. So there's never a temptation that you face where you're like, oh, God didn't give me enough strength. Oh, I couldn't help it. No, you will always have the strength to say no. The other thing is this: he will always show you a way out. There's not a temptation that I ever fell for growing up where there wasn't a way out and I knew it. And sometimes I still went with the temptation, and that's regret every single time. But there was always a way out. Another thing from that verse. No, I'm going to skip ahead. We gotta hurry here. Another thing I want to point out from those traps. Put that picture of the bear trap up real quick. Something about this trap, as well as the fish hook. The third thing about it that I want to point out is it requires somebody's help. The bear doesn't get out without the help of the hunter. The fish doesn't get off that hook without the help of the fisherman. And so I want to say, when it comes to the traps that you face from the enemy, you don't get out without God's help. Traps from the enemy require you to get God's help. We so often, guys, we want to do it. Oh, I'll make it. I'll figure it out. I'll get out on my own. And years go by, and you might still be dealing with that same struggle. Traps from the enemy require God's help to get out. You need to be going to God. If you have a struggle in your life, I'm telling you, God is the answer. God's the only one who can step on those clamps. He's the only one who can pull that fish hook out. God is going to be the answer. In Matthew 22:18, I didn't give them this verse, but it's a story about Jesus getting confronted by some guys, and they want to corner him. They want to get him to say something that isn't true, something against the word of God. And Jesus responds to them when they're trying to get him, and he says, "Why are you trying to trap me?" He uses the word trap because he knows they're trying to get him in a place where he can't get out, where there is no answer to the issue that he's facing. People will try to trap you. Situations will try to trap you. Thoughts will try to trap you. We want to avoid and escape them.